A very warm welcome to all of you. You're watching News9 Mediaverse and this is my program, To The Point. Tribal ministers and MLAs from non-Maiti communities have decided to stay away from the Manipur Assembly session that will commence from 21st of August. 7 MLAs are from the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party. The MLAs have cited security reasons for their non-attendance. Hill MLAs also sent a petition to the Prime Minister. Narendra Modi is seeking creation of the post of the Chief Secretary and Director General of Police for the 5 hill districts of Churachandpur, Kangpokpi, Chandel, Tengnopal and Firza. But let me come to the point. If MLAs don't repose faith in public security, then how will normal people of the state? They could have set an example by attending the assembly. But if they are not, how do they expect thousands of Kukis, thousands of people from other communities to come to the valley and cementing already existing differences? British, tell me, is it possible? And to say, I can understand, there are issues. I can understand that, the Kukis and other people feel that there's a problem in terms of movement. But if MLAs say that they are not safe, then will common people come?
No, they will not. And Karthikeya, if MLAs are saying that they have security reasons, let's not forget the famous incident, the infamous incident which happened at the start of the violence when the advisor to Manipur Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, he is an MLA and advisor to the Chief Minister, was beaten so brutally that he had to be airlifted to Delhi, where he was within an inch of dying. He was beaten that badly, and there's a legit security concerns as far as whether you are an MLA or an ordinary citizen. So I think this other than this decision reflecting poorly on the entire paraphernalia, it's also a bad reflection on the kind of security that is there. And I think if this is the main concern, then the state government must assuage their fears and must provide a highest possible security to ensure that nothing happens to them and they get to attend the assembly session, which is very, very crucial.
And another important thing that has happened is that 3 people have died in Ukhrul. Violence has taken place in Ukhrul. 3 people have died. An incident of hacking has taken place. And what is even more worrisome is that the gunfight took place. And it has been reported that it was heard all over the area. Now, if you have the gunfights being reported from all over the area, then there is no way you can say that the normalcy has come. And these 3 people have been killed when a lot of people are saying that, Manipur is close to achieving a no incident.
See, this is very troublesome. This is very worrisome, Karthikeya, because the fact is that there is a lack of any kind of violence for 4-5 days, and it lulls you into believe that nothing is going to happen, and then immediately something of this sort happens where 2 or 3 people die. I think it's like a periodic reminder of how grim the situation is there in the state of Manipur. It is very unfortunate when you were actually thinking that situation has come to a level where we won't see more death, not fighting and all, but we won't see more death, and then again 3 people have died. So I think
I don't want to get into the details because it has been filed by the PTI. It's just not gunshot thing. It's hacking. It's like you kill a person, then you disrespect the body. Those sort of things have been reported. I don't want to get into the detail because today I really wanted to do, if MLAs don't attend the assembly session, why will normal people come back? And apart from the memorandum or to create the position of DGP or Chief Secretary, those are administrative issues. But sometimes we expect our MLAs to walk the talk. Before I introduce Professor Prasanajit Biswas, Professor of Philosophy, Northeast University from Shillong, and Geetarani ji, Advocate, Manipur High Court, and Dr. Gwite, before I come to you, let me just play out a couple of bites we have got. Let's play them out.
No, that issues we will discuss with it's ultimately the governments that have to deal with it. You talk of a double engine government with the same government in the center as well as in the state. So they have to deal with all these issues and problems. We are here to do whatever is required on our part to help in the process of restoring normalcy. And I think it's been going on for too long, over 3 months. And this is something that should not continue to be like this. Okay. That is for the for the administration and the governments to answer. No, how can we say that? How were they permitted? Why were they given that permission? It's for them to answer. And these are the questions which people have been raising, and they said that these are issues that must be answered by the government's concern. And the fact that the Prime Minister has not said anything concrete, tangible, it's very, very unfortunate. Because we can't allow this situation to continue like this.
We are here to protest or to request for a separate administration. That is the only solution for the Kuki, for our safety and for even progress for tomorrow.
ये थीम हमने इसलिए लिया क्योंकि हम केंद्र सरकार से ये विनती करना चाहते हैं कि हमें अलग प्रशासन दो, सेपरेट एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन जो हमारे संविधान के दायरे में है, विद इन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया, क्योंकि we are already separated physically, geographically and emotionally from the valley. So हम केंद्र सरकार से बोल रहे हैं कि please give us separate administration, हमें अलग प्रशासन दो.
Crime is everywhere, not only in Manipur. हमने कुछ क्राइम किया, हमको सजा मिलना चाहिए, मगर not including as whole community. मगर इसकी तरह नहीं लेना चाहिए. जो उसने क्राइम किया है उसको लॉ अबाइडिंग सिटीजन, लॉ अबाइडिंग कंट्री है, तो फिर उसकी हिसाब से सजा मिलना चाहिए, नहीं तो हमको उसको होल कम्युनिटी को ठहराना चाहिए.
So, a very warm welcome to all of you. Geeta Ranji, I'll come to you straight away. Shouldn't the MLAs from the hill areas come to Imphal, at least participate in the assembly session which is going to commence from next week? If the lawmakers don't come, then why will common people come? If common people will not come, then I don't think the problem will get resolved, because ultimately you can't have a ghettoization of the entire state, na?
Yes, Kartikeya, ideally they should come. But on May 12th, they issued a declaration saying that all 10 MLAs, they issued declaration saying that they want separate administration. So right now, they have made the excuse of security reasons. But I believe the main reason would be if they come to the assembly now, that would be like refuting the earlier claim they have made for separate administration. That would be accepting the legality of the assembly for them. So right now they are trying to stay away from the assembly, not accepting the legality of the assembly. So their coming and attending the sessions is a little, far-fetched for now, because that clashes with their demand for separate administration. Security reasons, I believe it's just an excuse, because providing security for these 10 MLAs is not a difficult task. If they are ready to attend, I'm sure the government, the central forces, and even the people in Manipur Valley, the CSOs, they will guarantee their safety. There is no issue.
I think that's an important point, Dr. Gutte. It's not about safety, it's about the legality. I think that's the point. Geeta Ranji, correct? That's the real point, that they don't want to participate because, then it would become okay. Dr. Gutte?
Kartikeya, I would like to put this way. When the parliamentarians are also not allowed to speak in the parliament, in spite of, despite no violence here in the parliament or any kind of security issue, and when they are not allowed to speak and they are told not to speak or not even asked to raise the issue of concern, which is in Manipur. We have 2 members of parliaments from Manipur, inner and outer. So what is the assurance that these 10 MLAs from the tribal region, from the Hill district, will be given an assurance to voice their concern, right? It's not about legality, or it's not about the duty of the legislatures. It is about what kind of assurance and what kind of atmosphere that you have created, that you gain the confidence of the legislature to voice the concern of their people. From day one, they have been asking for appointment to the Prime Minister also, but still they haven't got any positive response to meet the central government concern. So first of all, there has to be an environment, an atmosphere of trust, that an atmosphere of assurance that you will be heard. And then only you can voice the concern of the people. But now with the ongoing violence, and then they have seen what is the true nature of the government at the central and the state. So this kind of, development, only meeting, lip service, and no action, no concrete action, and then fresh violence happening. The gunshot are not stopping. So this kind of action and response from the state government is really not giving them assurance that they will come, even if they say that they will be provided security and all this. But the past precedence is very clear that there is no security. There is the hatred, and the deep-seated hatred is still very strong, and it's growing day by day. So this kind of atmosphere has to be changed. Then only there can be some talk, and the legislature can feel that they can go over there. And a similar thing I can say, like you invited us as a panelist, and if you put us as a dummy, and if you don't let us talk and hear us, then what's the point to be a dummy in a state assembly legislatures, being a legislature, right? So this is the concern. Many debates are there when it comes to in terms of, development, and then the legislature from the hill districts, they are not voicing their concern, they are not utilizing the funds allocated and all these things. But there is a proper process where, any kind of policy or any kind of programs are passed in the assembly. So here you have 60% of the legislature from the Valley, and 40% from the hills.
Okay, point taken. Dr. Gupta, I could have said, there could have been a discussion, they could have raised the same thing, they could have put things on record, they could have raised the issue on record about, things which they have been talking about, TV channels, about the killings of the partition, but there is no debate. But one thing on which I'm going to get the Professor Prasannajeet is, sir, this is a very strange situation. Now in Ukhrul, the Nagas are saying that there cannot be a permanent structure. I'm surprised at these diktats. You have refugees all over the place, and you have the diktat from an organization saying you can't have a permanent structure. And again, since I know you understand Africa very well, what is this with the brutalization of the body, the fresh violence which has taken place? Apart from that, the reason why I'm not talking about is we are bound by guidelines, but after the killing, the brutalization which is taking place is extremely shocking, Professor.
Obviously. First, you see, the point is that the logic of retaliation is still at work. And whenever there is no such cause of action, and we were thinking of disarmament in the public discourse, and that is the time that Thawai village incident happens. There is gunshot from automatic rifle and firing of mortar. Now, once again, you see from where mortar is coming. That's a very big question. Whether bodies are mutilated or not is a later question, but the mortars have been fired there. Everyone has heard and seen the shells of mortar. This is extremely worrying. And it also can be seen how helpless these victims were themselves. So you see, there is a certain kind of a process of ambushing, a process of mutilating, a process of creating a huge sense of fear. Fear in the power that the dominant group has. Given that sense of power, how would an wounded MLA like Bhanjajin Balte, who is still convalescing in Delhi hospital, how would he attend this assembly session? He cannot attend assembly session because he is not able to walk on his feet. So you can imagine the kind of injury, the kind of psychological violence, the kind of intimidation, the symbolic act of violation of the body. As you are referring to Africa, you see, in Africa, bodies are mutilated, body parts are sundered and celebrated in Africa. Now, you see, we cannot relegate ourselves to that kind of a situation. It's a democratic country. Well, one can understand there could be some retaliation, but retaliation reached its maximum. And once again, state is not able to create that atmosphere of peace and security. And yet the assembly is called after creating insecurity. Now, when the government is convening the assembly, there should have been this semblance of security. It is all marred by this kind of an incident. You can see who are the victims here. So we have to see the process of victimization and how the credibility of the victims are all the time undermined. You see, victims either are mutilated or it is denied that there is any hand in their victimization, or there is a very elegant rationalization by putting blame on the other side. How long this blame game, how long this targeting of the other, how long this victimization shall continue in Manipur. So what many friends have said, once this kind of a situation arises, best way is to secure both the communities by granting them autonomy. A singular state administration is not able to hold them together. I don't see any problem in giving them the right kind of autonomy, which is workable within the framework of constitution, so that this sporadic acts of violence, retaliation is now replaced by a considered idea about giving an institutional kind of a structure to secure both the communities.
Okay. Do you agree that there has to be some sort of an institutional autonomy that needs to be provided? Now, even the MLAs don't want to come because the whole argument is you are not. You yourself said it, Geeta Rani ji, that it's not about security; it's about legitimacy.
See, Karthik, I'm really sad to see Professor Biswas, propagating this kind of separatist theory over here in the national channel. Actually, if you see the history, there has been Kuki Naga clash, Kuki Paite clash, Kuki Karbi clash, Kuki Dimasha classes, and these were equally violent. People were killed in a brutal manner. But now they have settled down, they are living together, they've been coming under Kuki umbrella and fighting for separate administration together. So, like all this violence will be settled down. And there is no concept of, once two communities fight, they have to be separated. It's not possible to live, separately. How can you live separately in one state? Under one, constitution, under a constitution framework, they already have this Article 371C protection. There are autonomous council in existence. Yes, we can have, we can actually discuss about enhancing the power of those councils. There are already 6 district councils. They are not utilizing these councils properly. That is the main issue. This can be discussed. There is no question of separate administration at all. These are not acceptable to the Meiteis, not acceptable to the Naga community also. So taking the excuse of this violence to actually ask for separate administration actually is an anomaly. We cannot accept that.
So there is one part of the conversation which really needs to be, you can come back on this, Prasanna ji, then Dr. Guite, because yes, you want to come, or should I play out the Biren Singh's bite first? Should I play out the Biren Singh's bite?
Let him clarify.
Oh, please clarify. Please clarify.
Just having a stronger institutional mechanism is no separation. It's a non-separatist process of separating and strengthening institutional structure of the state only, where people can be secure. Now, the present institutional structure could not secure anyone. There were violence, and violence is no excuse. It utterly shameful, cruel, degrading, dehumanizing forms of violence have happened, even in Thawai incident. So you can see bodies are mutilated. Mutilated bodies are kept in the morgue. And Kuki people are not able to return to Imphal. That perpetual sense of insecurity, fear is haunting them. Similarly, Meiteis also cannot return to Churachandpur. So both the communities and the ordinary folks, the innocent people, are suffering. In such a situation, we must have an institutional mechanism. Mere district council and 371C is not enough. What is needed is a new idea that is possible under 144, Article 144 of the Constitution, that can provide a secure institutional mechanism for an ethnic group of the community. If need be, Meiteis can also have one. There's no problem about that. Everyone can have this. So that people are secure. They have their delimited area. Developmental package can be focused on that. And that's no separation. That's strengthening the state of Manipur.
Okay, now let me play out the bite of the Chief Minister Biren Singh.
अरे डेमोक्रेसी में जो भी बोल सकता है यार Kamu adugi assembly famne na cabinet na wari amma long to kano samman amma la tri adaga next question da samjauge adaga internet se rat thing ni haiga community amma na di account se amna freely sina raga amna hairi hujule ri kano se am teaching people adaga community amma na kano oiba
adugu malai the assembly adum hamgani aduga koi hujiki internet ki community amada hangba adu dai du laite hoji broadband kar ge di loi hang ram ne adu dagi sena bo ram gani khoi sido ju imphal da so hangai loina set ki oina tongana amadana thaba amana thada ba du laite on the misconception ni
assembly de tu de loi de normally
manung da dum phangwani don't worry
what about this Chanpu? Is there law and order at Chanpu? Because during Independence Day, you see large numbers of Kuki with sophisticated arms took out rally out here. Then you see that also just in next to the Assam Rifles battalion network. How do you talk?
No, just government is investigating how it was happened, but you know that was not a part of the Independence Day parade. They were doing separately. We did dummy things and that, but we're investigating it.
But still, that is.
We're investigating it.
I'll just request my PCR to play out that bite of Biren Singh again in case our viewers have missed it. Let's listen to the Chief Minister. He doesn't speak very often. At least he has spoken, so I'll play the bite twice.
अरे डेमोक्रेसी में जो भी बोल सकता है यार
Kamu adugi assembly famne na cabinet na wari amma long to kano samman amma la tri adaga next question da samjauge adaga internet se rat thing ni haiga community amma na di account se amna freely sina raga amna hairi hujule ri kano se am teaching people adaga community amma na kano oiba
adugu malai the assembly adum hamgani aduga koi hujiki internet ki community amada hangba adu dai du laite hoji broadband kar ge di loi hang ram ne adu dagi sena bo ram gani khoi sido ju imphal da so hangai loina set ki oina tongana amadana thaba amana thada ba du laite on the misconception ni
assembly de tu de loi de normally
manung da dum phangwani don't worry
what about this Chanpu? Is there law and order at Chanpu? Because during Independence Day, you see large numbers of Kuki with sophisticated arms took out rally out here. Then you see that also just in next to the Assam Rifles battalion network. How do you talk?
No, just government is investigating how it was happened, but you know that was not a part of the Independence Day parade. They were doing separately. We did dummy things and that, but we're investigating it.
But still, that is.
We're investigating it.
Dr. Gute, you must have heard Biren saying, you know, it's a bite in general, but I'll again ask you, at least people can go to the assembly and speak, at least put things on record. Assembly is the place things can be put on record. Even if there is an issue of, for example, atrocity from a different community, it can be part of the record. It's like people have problem, but they put things on record in parliament. It's on record. Why is that being denied? You know, why can't they? Separate administration is a demand. Creation of post of secretary is a demand. DGP post is a demand. Sixth schedule was a demand. But putting things on record is responsibility because they contested elections. Let me be the devil's advocate here. Chaliye, I am being the devil's advocate. Why don't they put things on record?
Yeah, I completely understand the advocacy that you're doing right now. But my point is, let's say if I put things otherwise, if they really want that the tribal MLAs to attend the assembly, are they willing to, go where the tribal assembly are there? Is the chief minister and the other legislature willing to go to Churchandpur district, to Lamka, to conduct the assembly? If there is really the willpower to bring about peace, justice, and then there is a being the head of the state, and जो कहते हैं ना सबसे बड़े घर पे जो सबसे बड़ा होता है वो सबको साथ लेके चलना होता है तो you have to come down to their level and talk to them. So we can always I can always put this argument on the other way around. If the legislatures voices are to be heard and if they really want their presence Can they go? Can they be the one as a leader of the state, as the head of the state? Can he take that step in the first move in bringing about peace in Manipur? And otherwise, I also completely agree with Professor Biswas when he says that we need a strong institutional mechanism to address the wishes and the demands of the tribal people. Respecting demands, respecting your request and wish is part of democracy. And politics, your politics should not be divisive.
Okay, so you are saying that the demand has to be met outside the current institutional arrangement. Geeta Rani ji, do you agree? And then I'll come to you, Professor Saab. Do you agree? Why can't, is it a possibility that within the current constitutional mechanism or the administrative mechanism, the demands can be met? Can they be met?
See, regarding holding of the assembly, outside the assembly house, I don't think it will be happen. And anyway, the MLAs have not met this request. So I don't think this is possible. And regarding meeting the demands of the Kuki community within the constitutional framework, of course it is possible. That's why we keep saying there should be negotiation over the table and strengthening of the existing council that can be done, and why they have not functioned the way that it should have. That has to be investigated. The leaders have to be made accountable. So all these things have to be done. And yes, the 10 MLAs, they should have ideally come to the floor and then placed all their, grievances, put on record everything, whatever their demand is. It is, it is the best forum for them to place the demand. But they are shying away with the excuse of, security concerns. I think they have lost a chance to put their demands on record.
But there's another dimension, Professor. Before you respond to this sumoto, Ukhrul, it seems, people are blaming Kukis. Ukhrul is like an independent autonomous area. You can't create permanent structure. The writ of the government is neither running in Ukhrul nor running in any other mountainous area. It's a very funny situation. Can you please unmute yourself?
No? The hills are not given a due institutional structure. For example, Article 244 and Article 144. Article 144 is asking a Supreme Court monitored kind of a security mechanism or a mechanism to establish peace now. Article 244, that strengthens the existing councils by bringing law and order under it, which is very, very important for the hills to create a sense of security. Now, these things can be taken up by the central government. These things can be suo motu taken up by Biren Singh government also. The repeated demand that people have lost, hill people have lost their confidence on Biren Singh government, is actually reflected by this fear, by this kind of an apprehensive step taken by the MLAs from the hills. 10 of them will not be attending the assembly, and one MLA who is badly wounded will not be in a position to attend the assembly. So assembly is not going to give them anything except regurgitating the present insecurity and uncertainty. Therefore, in a sense, the present institutional structure has betrayed the aspirations of the hill people or the Kukis. And therefore, what do you do now? You have to see what next. What next is a larger constitutional mechanism, a stronger constitutional process. That has to be brought in. Now in Ukhrul area, as far as resettlement and non-refoulement of other humanitarian crisis people are concerned, victims are concerned, there is some opposition, obviously. The local people who are different there, they don't want permanent structure. So these structures could have been brought back within the Kuki areas itself. So that is also possible. So there are ways to negotiate such kind of a ticklish issues that are arising at this point of time. But because these issues are there and there is a sense of insecurity, there is a palpable vulnerability, precarity that is suffered by the Kuki Joe community, for which they cannot be blamed for not attending the assembly, because there is a genuine fear here.
But
so therefore, unless the atmosphere of fear is removed, how will they come at the same parity level along with the Meitei MLAs to sit and discuss issues?
Parity, they are all equal inside the house. But imagine the consequence of it on Monday. Imagine the consequence of it on Monday, that the assembly gets divided, Dr. Guite, the assembly gets divided
but
on
Karthik,
ethnic
it's
lines.
already, I'm sorry to butt in, but
No,
it's
no, please.
already divided.
Sure, also.
It's already divided. So where is the question of it will get divided? It's already divided. You know, these 10 MLAs have written letters to Prime Minister, Home Minister, stressing about their demand. One MLA was severely beaten within an inch of his death. I mean, so for us to dismiss the fear of security would be, wouldn't do justice to the situation prevailing there. Of course, MLA should go to the of course, MLA should raise their voice inside the assembly. Of course, everything should be on record. But it's not a normal situation which we are witnessing. I completely agree with Geeta Rani ji when she says that, everyone should come on the table and talk about it. I mean, this is how any negotiation should happen. But is the situation this simplistic? No, it is not. So when you say that it will get divided, I'm sorry, but it has already been divided. It's 100 days of deep division and counting.
No, if it is divided, and if it's not healing together, then in a way, then what Dr. Guite and Professor saying is the same thing.
No, I would not even. I mean, what I would say is that there should be made an attempt to reach out. There should be more concerted attempt to reach out. I'm not completely hopeless about the situation. I will be hopeless, say, a year down the line. But right now, I think more concerted effort should be made on the part of the government to make a reach out. There should be, the thing should be visibly moving. For you to say that, see, we did this, and still despite that, they are not coming back or they are not, joining them and all. But right now, I mean, every 4 days you say, oh, there's no violence and all, and immediately, we come across a brutal killing. So the security situation is very, very fluid. I mean, who can deny that?
Dr. Guite, has there been a reach out?
Yeah, I completely agree with Brijesh when he says that there has to be a reach out. I mean, till date, there is no reach out which has been seen from the side of the government. And
what do you need for a reach out? Tell me. What do you need for a reach out? When you say reach out, define a reach out.
Reach out can be the Chief Minister visiting the Churchandpur district, going and visiting the victims. He hasn't even visited the victims who are in the relief camps. That should be the first step.
Is it correct? Is it correct? I can't be faulted on it. Geeta Rani ji, is it correct that he hasn't visited the relief camps?
See, Kartike, yes, I don't think he has visited the relief camps in the hill because the way the Kuki community has shown hatred towards him, I don't think his security advisor will be asking him to anytime visit the hills, at least the district of Kanpur or the Kuki dominated districts very soon, unless there is some kind of peace situation prevailing there. And as regards the violence happening in Manipur, let me tell you, in Imphal, after the first week of May, there has been relatively no violence happening in hills, in the valley. Whatever violence happened has been in the hills, in the hill districts. So holding an assembly at Imphal, there should be no security concern at all. And regarding negotiations between both parties reaching out, it doesn't have to be the Chief Minister visiting the district of Churchandpur. It has to be, I think, from both sides taking a step back. If the Kuki community take a step back from their demand about separate state or separate union territory, as they have been vehemently asking for, that actually triggered the violence or the anger from the on the Meitei side. If they take a step back, then Meiteis also will take a step back. There will be no violence, and we can actually initiate the talk for reconciliation, for saying which demands will be made. All this kind of peace talk can happen if both parties take a step back. If the authorities come in and take the arms and ammunition away from the militants and the civilians. So these things have to be considered.
As I asked Dr. Guite, what was a reach out? When I asked Dr. Guite what is a reach out, she said reach out is that the Chief Minister should visit the relief camp. You said Chief Minister did not visit the relief camp because of the security issues. If you are saying step back, madam, what is the step back? Please define the step back. What should be the step back from the Meiteis, and what should be the step back from Kukis, and what should be the step back from Nagas? I mean to say, how can one part of the state be held hostage saying that permanent structures cannot come up? The land belongs to the Union of India. Geeta Rani
taking
ji.
a step, yes, taking a step back, as I see it, will be from the Kuki community will be, of course, making their demand, not touching the territorial integrity of Manipur. That would be one thing. If that demand has been taken up, then the Meitei communities can also take a step back and, agree to not be violent against the Kuki community. That violence aspect can be taken out, then the situation will be prevailing for peaceful talk to be commenced. So that is the stepping back I was thinking about. And for the Naga community, of course, they will be the neutral, community here who will be taking a very important part in the negotiation. So for them, they are more or less neutral right now. I don't see what stepping back they have to do as of now. But yes, the Meitei community and the Kuki community, who are the main community having a class here, they have to take a step back and then refrain from violence and then come to the table and voice out their concerns, how to bring about settlement of the people who are in relief camps. This Manipur integrity of Manipur has to be maintained. Ultimately, the Kuki community and the Meitei community have to stay together in the state. And it's the leaders, they may be asking lots of things, but if you really talk to the Kuki common people, I say again and again, the common folks who are suffering at the relief camps, who have lost their families, they don't want war. They want peace to be brought at the earliest. They want to be resettled. Those who had fled from Imphal, they want to come back to Imphal to their house. And the Meiteis who have fled from, Churchandpur, More, Tengnopal, totally wiped out. There are no Meiteis there. They also want to go back to their houses. All these rehabilitation programs, they can be started once the peace negotiations start. And I think this is the need of the hour. There have been enough human suffering. This should not go on even for another day.
Okay, Professor, this is the step back. Are you think this is a feasible step back? I have just one thing, if Kukis take back, I am the devil's advocate even for Geeta Rani ji. If Kukis take back the demand for separate administration, then the Meitei community, if I am wrong, Geeta Rani ji, you may correct me, will not be aggressive towards Kukis. That's what the word you used?
Yes.
Okay.
All this aggression is only because of this, the threat of Manipur being...
Is it correct for any community to become aggressive if the other community wants autonomy within the union? Is it correct?
See,
that's entirely wrong.
Let Professor answer, then I'll come back to you.
Sure.
Yes. So the idea of aggression, in order to address a legitimate political demand, a demand that actually doesn't harm the majority community. It rather strengthens the fabric of bonding in terms of giving something concrete to the community that has been victimized in a large way. Although Meitei community is also victimized to a large extent, I won't deny that. So this victimization has thrown up a new political challenge, and the challenge has to be mitigated not just by merely saying everybody will forget and forgive. This is undermining the victimization of the people. This is putting under the carpet all the crimes against humanity that has happened in Manipur. So one has to go for a real understanding of truth and think about reconciliation in positive and concrete terms. These concrete terms are to be constitutional and institutional. Article 244 that empowers the autonomous councils to have more finances, to have more security, law and order under them, and also protecting their forest and other resources will secure the tribal community. Now Meitei communities can also strengthen their position, but they cannot go for demanding scheduled tribes, which they have demanded, and it has created the original problem. Now they have probably stepped back from there. But after stepping back, what remains with us now is to arrive at a constitutional middle path, which is to give them greater autonomy without violating the ambit and the legitimacy of the state government. Now I don't know where is the fear in that. The fear may be a kind of a miscalculation that if it is given to Kukis and other tribes, then the state of Manipur will break apart. No. Constitution allows for 244. It allows for 144. Let's experiment with those constitutional
let me be the devil's
provisions.
advocate with you. Doesn't it mean that doesn't this bifurcation show that multi-ethnic states are are the biggest failures in Indian Union. We have example of Kashmir, where one ethnicity dominates. If there is a reconciliation, everything becomes peaceful. Like the Lal Denga Accord, Mizoram, one community. But a multi-ethnic state like Manipur, where you have Nagas, Kukis and Meiteis, it becomes a problem.
I think, what you were saying is that if one community gets back the dominance, then there is a problem. If the power is shared, resources are shared in terms of institutional and constitutional mechanism, there won't be problem. As especially in the northeast, I won't be drawing example from Kashmir, but look at Assam. There are multiple developmental councils, multiple autonomous district councils, all kinds of councils to secure rights of people in their own domain and territory, and then people can freely mix with each other. Even that vexed Bodo issue has been solved by giving a lot of power to the Bodo Autonomous Council, which is running so well. So we can follow that model in case of Manipur, and Manipur can become a more cohesive multi-ethnic state, because Kukis, Nagas, they share a common history. Kuki, Naga, Meiteis also share a common history. They can get back to the common history with a peace of mind, provided their existence is secured by an institutional and a constitutional mechanism, which the present arrangement could not secure.
I also wanted to get in Brajesh here, because there are a couple of things happening. I really wanted to do a program on that, but sometimes people don't come on record. Dr. Gute, someone told me that you are connected on that issue. I don't want to stump a surprise. A lot of Kuki leaders had come from Manipur to meet the security establishment. What has happened? They have met the IB chaps, they have met the Home Ministry officials, the ITLF chap came in, Brajesh, the people who are part of the SU agreement were here. There has not been a word. Is there a stalemate? Is government working on a peace accord? What is happening? Dr. Guite, do you have an idea? Do you have an idea, Dr. Guite?
No, not at all. Even if there is a few ideas, but it is, I think, told to be confidential. So
it's confidential. I respect that. Okay, it's confidential. I respect that.
Karthike, I would say that that the government, Home Minister Amit Shah had come here. He had said that he'll get back. He asked for 15 days of peace and things will be resolved. It didn't went that way. So I think when a
problem क्या है ब्रजेश, इशू क्या फंसता है? लीडर्स से तो अमित शाह मिल रहे हैं, मतलब अमित शाह की मिनिस्ट्री के सीनियर ऑफिसर्स मिल रहे हैं, वो यहाँ दिल्ली में ठहरे हैं, वो एकेडमिशियंस क्या भी जाते हैं, रिटायर्ड आर्मी ऑफिसर्स आर अवेयर ऑफ देम, हो सब रहा है, लेकिन वो बात बाहर क्यों नहीं आ रही? प्रोफेसर, I'll come to you. I know you wanted to speak on it. You have something to say.
The point is that nobody wants to jettison any kind of fledgling peace effort. If there is a peace effort in making, if there is a process which they want to implement in the state of Manipur, which would warranty or guarantee peace in the state of Manipur, they would not want to torpedo it or jeopardize it by leaking the news or what exactly the kind of possible scenarios which are being worked out. I think, I agree with Dr. Goithe that that these are confidentials and they should be kept at that, because you don't want to leak one thing and then before you can even think of implementing, you see a massive protest against that particular thing happening. So I think the government is trying to tread very carefully, because it's not only land. The government also, whenever we talk of government, please also understand it's also politics.
Even the burial issue has been, you are right. I'm saying that even the burial issue remains unresolved.
Yeah, it does. I think, and this is the reason why, one of the big reason why do you think that that there are so many Kuki intelligentsia people coming out meeting IB officers, MHAs and all, is because of that, because they want to solve, they want to understand, they want to also impress upon the government about the kind of issues they face, and they want their version to be, they want the government to listen to their version also. But you have to also understand that there is politics behind it. So you have to fight elections. That's also an unfortunate reality, whether it looks tacky for me to say, but that's reality is all at times not very palatable.
Professor.
I think confidentiality must be respected, and I too respect this. But what has emerged, yesterday's talk is a certain preliminaries that have gone in, nothing more than that. No concrete proposal has been finalized. It is being discussed. And as we have been discussing, various options have been brought on the table. Now it will be placed also to the other side so that a mutual agreement can be arrived at. So the welcome process has started yesterday under the stewardship of the central government, and that may create a sense of peace at the ground level, though there are these violences. Violences are calculated and motivated by all the time, whenever the other side is perceived to be gaining something, then the other side comes under attack in a situation like Manipur. So therefore, these attack that has happened in Ukhrul is systematic. This attack that permanent structure should not be there is also systematic. And the, kind of a by subtext that the assembly has been called in and Kuki MLAs are not joining in is also a subtext to the whole situation. So we have to read the situation carefully, and then we have to create the conditions of peace once again without really losing nor making any side lose in that discussion. It should be win-win situation for both the sides when we are talking peace. So that part is taken care of by the central government, by its ACE mechanism.
Okay.
I think Kuki people have a lot of trust on that. This is the sense that I get without breaking any confidentiality.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think that's a very important thing to. Geeta Rani ji, I think you have something in your mind. I think you wanted to say something. I just could feel it, seeing you.
Yes, definitely. Actually, regarding the starting of the violence, like victimization with the tribals, I have objection to that, because as we all know, on 3rd May, because of the Ashram rally, in the afternoon, the violence started from Kuki community side in Chorchandpur. And the retaliation against Kuki came from Imphal only in the late evening of 3rd May and 4th. Even like MLA Bungjagin Walte, he was injured on 4th. There was no, initiation of violence from Meitei side. So there is no victimization of tribals here. The tribals themselves turned violent. And it is not the Naga who also protested against the ST demand. Okay, it's only the Kuki community who turned violent. And now it's emerging that it was all pre-planned, because they obviously did not want to sign an agreement which Sioux militants and government of India and the government of Manipur, it seems, were about to arrive in an agreement and they didn't want to sign it, and it was pre-designed. This has also to be looked into. If it was by investigation actually found to be pre-planned, it's a criminal act. Now, secondly,
is this correct? That's a big thing to say. It's a big thing to say.
34 communities in Manipur. If all the communities started, asking for their own autonomous district, is it going to be feasible? Because it's not very simple as in other states. In Manipur, there are other communities. There are outsiders like non-Manipuris like Biharis, Tamilians, Marwaris, Gurkhas, and they are Muslims. It has always been a cohesive society. And also, before attending to the demand of the Kuki community, we have to clear the issue about illegal immigrants. We believe that there are sizable number of illegal immigrants among the Kuki communities who are spearheading this violence.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Dr. Guite, that the illegal immigrants are spearheading it? Is it correct thing to say?
Kartike, first I would like to come to the point where we talk about victimization and the violence which was happening in the 3rd, 4th, which Geeta Rani ma'am said. My point is, okay, let's assume that what she said is the truth and only the truth. How do we justify the violence? How do we justify the beheading? And how do we justify the looting and the killing and the rape of women and all those violence which are happening? Okay, let's say I am at fault, but who are you to brutally, physically assault me, rape me, and, in a very barbaric way? As a society, how do we justify violence? So the point here is, when the other person has gone beyond doubt in committing and such a outrageous crime and violence as per the law or against the law. So in that situation, then the defense mechanism of saying illegal immigrants, poppy cultivators, and narcotic traders, you name them, right? And when it comes to illegal immigrants and when it comes to NRC, we have in our NRC the process and the procedure on how a person become a citizen. and also India being a signatory to the human rights, against the human rights violation, and signatory to sheltering, the refugees in our country. And India being a democratic country, it shelters the refugees from Tibet, it shelters the refugees from Afghanistan. So we are, as a country, as a nation, being a signatory to that, we provide that. And that there are on records, on the state government records, that yes, there are this much of immigrants, illegal immigrants, which came to Myanmar because of the military junta, and which they fear of that, and they came through Manipur. And the border between Myanmar and India, there is this 16-kilometer stretch where it's a free movement is allowed. So there are process, there are mechanism which the government is looking into it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But there's something which really concerns me is, I hope, the whole issue is, I hope the MLAs participate. I hope the MLAs participate and go to the session, and they get to say everything they want on record, whatever they want to. If I have to count my wish list today, what I really was saddened by the fact is that despite so much of displacement, you have a civil society dictating the permanent structures cannot be built. And yes, when Prasanjit spoke about aspirations be accommodated, I absolutely agree. Union of India is flexible and strong enough at the same time to accommodate the flexibility. 21st is going to be a very, very important day. 21st is an important day. There are multiple demands, but that day we will see what happens in the floor of the house, because people will expect Biren Singh to explain things on the floor of the house, say what has happened. That will be the official position, that will be the record for history. And I hope the other side also get recorded in that August gathering. And I think that is something which is very, very important. Let us play out that bite of Biren Singh once again.
डेमोक्रेसी में जो भी बोल सकता है यार बताइए दे
तमो अदुगी असेंबली फमने ना कैबिनेट वारी अम्मा लोग तो कनो सम्मान नमल लाक्री अदगा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन दा समझाओगे अदगा इंटरनेट से रात थिंग ने हायगा कम्युनिटी अमन अदि मग अकाउंट से हम फ्रीली सिनारगा हमना हायदि हजु लेरि बे कनो से हम टीचिंग पी कम्युनिटी अमन रा कनो ओइबा
अदुगुमा लेते असेंबली अदुम फमगनी अदुगा खोय हुजिकी इंटरनेट की कम्युनिटी अमदा हांगबा अदु अदायदु लेते हुजि ब्रॉडबैंड करके दि लोय हांगरमने अदुदगी सेनाबो रंगनी खोय सिदसु इम्फालदसु हांगे लोयना सेट की ओइना तोंगाना अमदना थाबा अमदना थादा बायदु लेते मदु मिसकंसेप्शन नि
असेंबली दे टू दि लोय रे नॉर्मली
मनुंगदा दम फंगनी डोंट वरी
What about this Churachandpur? Is there law and order at Churachandpur? Because during the Independence Day, you see large numbers of Kuki with sophisticated arms took out rally out here. Then you see that also just in next to the Assam Rifles battalion network. How do you talk?
No, just government is investigating how it was happened. But that was not a part of the Independence Day parade. They were doing separately. We did dummy things and that, but we're investigating it.
But still, that is...
We're investigating.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world, you don't have 3 garbage mountains waiting to welcome you, depending on whichever side of the city you enter from.
The thing is that a lot of times we talk about landfills only when there's a fire at the landfill. You need to understand that a landfill is at fire almost throughout the year. It's only when the firefighters are not able to douse the fire is when it actually catches the nation's attention, the city's attention, or media attention.
The towering